The road to the Royal Rumble continues. A bestie birthday bash for Shane McMahon and an early contender for match of the year. What is going on out there, world? It's your boy Tommy on the spot. Thanks so much for checking us out here today on Watchalong Wrestling, our official Smackdown Live post-game show for January 15th, 2019. Thanks so much for checking us out here today. We're going to get into the entire show that is Smackdown Live. It was not the go-home show for SmackDown for the Royal Rumble, even though Shane McMahon seemed to think that the Royal Rumble is this Sunday. We are still about 10 days away from the Royal Rumble, and 1 week from tomorrow, I will be setting the air, so to speak, on my way down to Arizona for the big show. I'm very excited about it, and we'll have full coverage of the Royal Rumble and everything else right here on the show. But before we get right here on the site, the little YouTube gimmick here, but before we get into SmackDown Live tonight, of course, if you like what you see, please do leave a like and subscribe. And you can follow along with me all throughout the day for all the news and all the happenings in the world of pro wrestling over on Twitter at WatchWrestlePod. Really good and strong SmackDown Live tonight. I always feel like SmackDown Live is an easy breezy 2 hours. You know, put a bow on it, send it out. Real easy watch each and every week. But my criticism for SmackDown is always that it lacks a little bit of storytelling. I feel like Raw sometimes the criticism of both shows has always been that Raw is always the story-heavy show with your promos, your character development, everything to that extent, whereas SmackDown is the real wrestling show. And you love a good wrestling show, but at the same time, sometimes it's good to have that entertainment piece, right? At the end of the day, we all watch this for the storytelling, the character development, everything else. And I think tonight, you had a lot of that. I thought some of it was really good. I thought some of it was a little cheesy, but for the most part, I really enjoyed SmackDown Live. So let's get into it. This was built around a couple of different things. Number one was the match between Rey Mysterio and Andrade Cien Almas, and boy, did they have a match. If you have not seen this match, before I get into any spoilers, before I talk about anything, you should hit pause, you should go, you should find that match, you should watch that match, and then shoot back over with your boy to chat about it, because it was fantastic. These guys tore the house down. They went through 2 commercial breaks, which is like the standard for like a solid TV match now. Not only do you get the 1 commercial break, which seems to happen during pretty much every match, but usually you get 2 breaks during a match, and that usually means that that match is given a good amount of time. So I really enjoyed that match. That match was great. I think that if that took place on a pay-per-view, it would be the match of the year. If that took place at WrestleMania, I think people would be just going completely bonkers over it, and hopefully it doesn't get lost in the shuffle because it was just on a random, January edition of SmackDown, because it was a great match, and one we'll be talking about for a long time. And on the SmackDown 30th anniversary, they'll come back and show highlights from this one. It was that good. Really great stuff. But not only was it built around that, it was also built on the Bestie Birthday Bash, the continuation of the relationship between The Miz and Shane McMahon. Everything remains peachy keen going into Shane McMahon's birthday, and The Miz was having a big celebration for him, and I thought it was a lot of fun. So let's get into the show kind of as it unfolded. It unfolds with Becky Lynch shows up driving a car, and the crowd just erupts. Like, she is still, in my opinion, the biggest star right now on SmackDown. I think she means more than anyone on the roster. She gets the biggest reaction from anyone on the roster, and really her showing up in that car was reminiscent, in my opinion, of old Stone Cold Steve Austin. And you kind of hate to draw that comparison, but she shows up and the place just erupts. Everyone is excited. Everyone is stoked. And here comes Becky Lynch, total badass, running out there. And, the place just went bonkers for her showing up in her car. She shows up, and one of the ladies back there, I want to say Dasha Fuentes was there, and she kind of, I'm sorry, it was Kayla Braxton. She was back there, and she flips the key. She ends up standing there. She's waiting for a big talk with Becky Lynch, and what ends up happening is Becky kind of blows her off. Becky's like, "You really were waiting to ask me?" Because her question was like, "Are you ready for Asuka?" And she was like, "Really? I'll show you that in the ring tonight." Ends up flipping the keys to Kayla Braxton, which got a huge pop from people. And Kayla caught him, which was awesome. And Becky even took a second to thank Kayla Braxton or compliment her and say, "Hey, good stuff," or "good catch," or something to that extent. Then she made her way down to the ring, And before she got there, actually, I mentioned yesterday briefly about how Heavy Machinery debuted on the main roster, Tucker Knight and Otis Djokovic. Tonight, they were on the main roster, and it was way better. They were in a backstage segment with the New Day, making milkshakes and all of the craziness you can imagine. They're kind of egging on Otis to try this milkshake. It was kind of gross. It was kind of silly. But then Becky Lynch shows up while they're making the milkshakes. They offer Becky a little bit of the milkshake, and Becky tries it, says it's a little weak. But it was really kind of the segment, I mentioned it on Twitter, it was kind of the segment where it went from like, ugh, that's disgusting to, oh, shit, that's pretty badass. It's just kind of the Becky Lynch effect these days. So Becky walked out. I thought, honestly, though, Otis and Tucker, Heavy Machinery, those guys, they're going to be a comedy act. They're going to provide a little bit of comedy. I think these guys at some point are going to be the hottest thing in wrestling. When Otis gets in the ring and people get to really fall in love with Otis and he throws out that worm, they're going to be the biggest thing, really, in my opinion, in all of wrestling, right? I think they're going to be that kind of like Miz and Mizdow, how they were for a while. They were really a funny part of the show that people really got like a cult following behind. I really predict big things for them when they first get started. Hopefully then it leads to a decent run. I don't know how sustainable it'll be, but I'm excited for them, and I thought tonight was way better than showing up in a promo with Paul Heyman and Alexa Bliss when Alexa's out there introducing the tag belts and Paul Heyman is speaking on behalf of the Universal Champion. So yeah, that I don't love as much, but tonight I thought was great. And also interacting with Becky Lynch. I thought Becky was great because you're still having that human side of Becky. She's not a total badass. She can still throw down and have a good time. So I thought that was fun. So that led to kind of a similar deal they did with Sasha and Ronda yesterday, except instead of them, and I thought they were going to do Strange Bedfellows tag team, like soon to be opponents forced to team up, to come together and do a deal where they're forced to team up against another tag team and, can they coexist type deal? Not exactly what they did. Instead, what they did was they had Becky in a singles match prove kind of what she could do. And she ended up destroying Peyton Royce, ended up having Peyton lose, and that was pretty much that. Then Asuka jumped in the ring. She started screaming in Japanese, and I thought it would have been great if Becky had replied in Japanese and started screaming back at her. I thought that would have been a lot of fun. Didn't end up happening, but I thought that would have been a really cool type deal. But what they ended up doing instead was Asuka was screaming. She was demanding Billie Kay to get back in the ring. So then that set up an impromptu match between Billie Kay and Asuka. Asuka obviously lays out Billie Kay. She ended up doing her own version of the disarm her. So it's kind of like a can you top this type deal between the two heading into their big match at the Rumble. And I'd say right now that Becky and Asuka match is probably top billing, the match that, I'd say that match or Sasha and Ronda are probably your two matches that folks are looking most forward to seeing, apart from obviously the Royal Rumble. And I guess now with the added appeal of whether Finn Balor is going to be showing up as the Demon, actually it's a pretty stacked card for the Rumble. I'm glad I made the decision to go to that one. It should be a really good show. So, but that was, I thought the continued build between Asuka and Becky Lynch was really cool. That led to AJ Styles randomly coming out. Middle of the segment, women are still out there. AJ comes out, ends up making his way around the ring, heads off into the rafters, goes into the immediately through the entire stands, goes through the upper deck, and outside and waiting for him is the kind of the concession stand. And out there, they have all the hot dogs, they have all the sodas, they have all these different things. And AJ makes a point. He says, these people have paid their hard-earned money. And this is kind of a play off of how SmackDown opened a week or two ago, where Daniel Bryan was accusing all of these people of eating, processed food, and they should be saving water and everything to that extent, calling them all fickle, and basically saying they're all gross for eating hot dogs and fried foods and everything to that extent. AJ was basically saying, hey, these people have paid their hard-earned money. They could eat whatever they want. He starts handing out hot dogs. And it's become a really interesting thing here where the babyface is encouraging you to basically eat like shit, right? I mean, Daniel Bryan is standing up for eating healthy and going and eating processed, non-processed foods and all about the environment, everything to that extent. Whereas AJ Styles is like, hey, here's a hot dog for you. Here's a hot dog for you. Let's eat like crap and have a good time. And everyone loves it. And I guess, in a weird way, not too many people like the folks, I guess, who go to Whole Foods and try to do their best to eat healthy, even though that's what I'm trying to do here in 2019. So a little caught between the two. This led to a brawl between Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, though. Thought it was really good stuff, really strong stuff, and a way to get them on the show, even though there really wasn't an actual story or anything for them, which I think SmackDown Live is good at. When they have their 4 or 5 matches on the pay-per-view, they always try to do a little something to kind of get everyone involved. And I don't think AJ or Daniel Bryan really had much on the show that was for them. So this little backstage segment at least allowed that to continue. And I'm excited for their match at the Rumble and excited to see what they do on the Go Home show next week. This led to, and this kind of was the start of a show-long type storyline where pretty much it was revealed that Jimmy Uso got a secret admirer type gift. He got a gift. He thought it was from Naomi. He was excited about receiving something that he thought was an early anniversary gift from Naomi, if you will. Got a little excited and ended up getting like a love note that said something like, I'm a naughty girl and I want to be locked up in the Uso penitentiary, which immediately made me think, boy, I could totally see WWE marketing Valentine's like that. Specifically if they were an adult-oriented product. Ended up where it was a key to a hotel room, and it was by Mandy Rose. So you could see where this is going. Next up, you had Samoa Joe. He was backstage, trouncing around. I love Samoa Joe, but man, he's got to get some W's under his belt, or I feel like he's starting to become the boy who cried wolf. At some point, Samoa Joe, you're going to take him only so serious if he continues to lose every time out. He had a match set up with Mustafa Ali. Basically, ended up not having much of a match. It never happened. Joe just attacked Ali before the bell rang, threw him around, pounded him, beat the crap out of him, and that's basically how it ended. He threw him into the barricade, and that was that. Next up, we continued down, and in the back, basically, Sonya Deville was asking Mandy Rose, like, what are you doing? This isn't cool, blah, 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 telling her, you got to watch your role, slow down. And Mandy Rose was like, hey, listen, I got to be honest. I hate Naomi. I want to ruin Naomi's marriage. That's what I'm trying. I'm not sure if part of the deal was in conjunction with the continuation of the build toward Temptation Island, which was debuting right after SmackDown Live on the USA Network. And that was their Glass. Last night, Glass was the big push, the movie Glass on Raw. Tonight, it was all about promoting Temptation Island. So it was almost funny, like, hey, what is Jimmy Uso going to do here? So that led to Andrade Cien Almas and Rey Mysterio. Again, go out of your way to check this out. If you have not seen this match, if you're someone who, hey, let me wait for the reviews and then see how it goes, go out of your way to check this out. This match was great. These guys tore the house down. I could watch them go at it all day. I'd totally be cool if they held off on this and then did it at a bigger stage. I think it was Brian Alvarez from F4WOnline.com said something to the extent of he'd love to see Rey and Andrade at WrestleMania, hair versus mask. If tonight was any indication, sign me up. That would be awesome. And the best part about this, in my opinion, Andrade gets the win. Yes, it was with a little bit of help from Zelina Vega, but I have no problem with it. At least he got the win. A lot of folks like myself have been saying, hey, you can only have so many competitive matches. You're turning into Samoa Joe Light here. So many competitive matches that you come up a little short each time to where people stop taking you seriously. So it was good to see Andrade get a win, a huge win over Rey Mysterio. Both those guys are in the Royal Rumble. After that match, they cut back to the continuation and the conclusion of this Mandy Rose and Jimmy Uso deal. Basically, Jimmy Uso ended up going to the hotel room, and I had flashbacks of that segment with Enzo Amore and Lana, where pretty much, everyone was getting a little bit. Jimmy's showing up at the hotel room, and he's nervous, and he's kind of looking like he's a little nervous. Ends up going in there. Mandy's sitting there on her kind of a love seat by herself with a robe on. She ends up taking her robe off. So you got 2 nights in a row of WWE positioning the woman with a bit more sex appeal, similarly to how they'd kind of positioned them back in the Attitude Era. Honestly, this is an entertainment show, right? It's not sport. They're presenting the woman a lot more, presentable, certainly in main events, and I think they're doing a really good job when it comes to that. That being said, I think that I don't have any problem. Tonight I didn't have a problem with. Yesterday, I just thought the thing with Alexa Bliss was really lame. Not necessarily that I had a problem with it. I just thought it was. I just had a problem with it because it made no sense. It was stupid. It was like, what's the point of that? But with what they did tonight, I mean, Mandy Rose wasn't dressed super scantily clad or anything. She was just in lingerie, and she ended up getting Jimmy Uso to pose. Ended up trying to get her to slow down. Photographer showed up that she paid, took a couple snaps of Jimmy Uso. Then she said, "Oh, I'm going to ruin your marriage. I'm going to show this to Naomi." And Jimmy Uso was like, "You're talking about my wife?" Ends up walking to the back, which at the back of the room, ends up opening up one of the closets, and Naomi is back there. So it sets up a little brawl. Naomi knocks her out a little bit. She goes after Mandy Rose, continues their feud. Hopefully they get a little bit of whether they get an actual match at the Royal Rumble, or if I'm sure they'll be in the Royal Rumble itself. And that'll be kind of a spotlight thing to kind of look forward to. I think it's good to see them not only do feuds with the women over the titles, but secondary feuds with the women. And Naomi's somebody I feel like who hasn't had a feud in a while. And it's good to see kind of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville coming up the ranks there and having something, whether you love the storyline or not. All right, so then that led to an announcement that it is going to be Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Rusev at the Royal Rumble. So SmackDown now has Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rusev for the U.S. title. They have AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan for the title. They have SmackDown Tag Team Championships, The Bar defending the titles against Shane McMahon and The Miz. And then, obviously, they have Becky Lynch and Asuka for the SmackDown Women's title. And then the two Rumbles. So it's a stacked card for the Rumble. Nothing on the show is bad. Shinsuke and Rusev is going to be on the pre-show, probably with the Fatal 4-Way with the Cruiserweights. But I'm going to make sure we get there for that pre-show because the Cruiserweights will tear the house down. And it should be good stuff. I'm actually interested to find out who answered that open challenge, if it hasn't already happened, for Buddy Murphy, because I did think it was going to be Tyler Breeze, so I'm interested to see kind of where they went from there. So then this led to the Bestie Birthday Bash. Shane McMahon, Miz come out. They're just in love with each other. Shane's continuing to have a soft spot for the Miz, this, that, and the third. Miz ended up preparing him a couple gifts. He got him some Jordans that looked like they really surprised Shane. Shane looked legit touched and really stoked to get the Jordan 33s. Then he prepared a cake for Shane with the two of them holding up the Best in the World trophy and a nice little video package dedicated to Shane. I think Shane liked it, but Shane was a little uncomfortable with how much The Miz was kind of building up his birthday. But the crowd loved it, man. They were chanting, they were cheering "Happy Birthday, Shane." Chanting "Happy Birthday" over and over and over again. Crowd seemed to really get a kick out of this. I liked it. I love a good segment that's just going to be a good time. At the end of the day, that's why you watch wrestling, right? You want to laugh, you want to smile, and I thought that they did a good job with that. I would have loved them to go a step further. Bring out the Mean Street Posse. Have Stephanie out there with a gift. Have Vince come out with a gift. I thought that was going to just end the show. Ended up where the Bar came out instead, and Shane kind of goaded Sheamus into a match with the Miz. Miz was like, hold on, because Miz is still kind of that cowardly heel under this persona of being a babyface with Shane, right? He's doing this because he wants that trophy, and he wants to spotlight, and he wants to kind of get Shane and to goad Shane into doing all these things like a coast to coast and everything else to that extent. So what ended up happening was, Miz said, "Hey, if you want a match with me and Sheamus for your birthday, even though I'm in my suit, I'll do it." And they had a match. That was your main event, and Miz got the win. And ended up where Cesaro went through one of the cakes, and then Miz put the other cake up and wanted Shane to do coast to coast, cake to coast, I guess. He did it. It was a little, damn near killed himself. God bless Shane. I love the guy, but every time he does a coast to coast, I'm like, and look at his face after he does them. When he lands that move, he's just like, God, I don't know how many of these I have left in me. But I thought it was really cool. It was good stuff, and good, really strong show. I thought it was fun, and at the end of the day, SmackDown continues to be a breeze to get through and something I thoroughly enjoy each and every week. So let me know what you thought about the show down in the comment section below. I'll be back with a little fun video for you guys tomorrow, and we'll keep the ball rolling here on the Watchalong Wrestling YouTube page. Again, if you like what you see, please leave a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe and follow me on Twitter all day, all wrestling, at WatchWrestlePod. Until next time, everybody, this has been Tommy on the spot for Watchalong Wrestling, saying so long and signing off from our SmackDown Live post show.